Welcome back to the TheSlamDuncan YouTube channel. Today is the NBA trade deadline, and I want to break down basically the major trades that happen at the trade deadline today. I will start talking a little bit about some of the smaller trades, but I really want to hit on the big trades because those are the most important, and they definitely need to be broken down for both sides of the trade. So before we get into that, though, make sure you leave a like on this video. Also, subscribe to my channel for more NBA content. Also, follow me on Twitter at Duncan_White14. And also, you can listen to me talk sports on the radio, FM 89.1 on Sundays, 6 to 8 p.m. Central Time. So, I want to break down like each individual one. Just kind of go. Let's just start with the Heat, really, because that happened first, and this even happened during the night. So. The Miami Heat have traded Justice Winslow, Dion Waiters, and James Johnson to the Memphis Grizzlies for mainly Andre Iguodala, who's a major part of the deal, Solomon Hill, and Jay Crowder. Andre Iguodala and the Heat have agreed to a 2-year, $30 million extension right off the bat, and that's really shocked me. The second year is a team option, though, so it's a little bit better, but I'm still not liking the money that the Heat have just thrown at Iguodala. But basically, this is Miami saying, like, we're going all in on this team. Miami has been a surprise to me. I thought they're going to be good, but not this good. And this is definitely a great trade for them. Justice Winslow has been hurt basically all season. Dion Waiters has had just issues in general with this team. And James Johnson has been basically out of the lineup. So getting Andre Iguodala, I definitely think it helps, but I also do think that people are kind of overrating Iguodala a little bit because, one, he hasn't played in an NBA game at all this season, and two, his shooting ability is not consistent, and this Heat team is depending on wings that can shoot because Jimmy Butler's not having the greatest shooting year. He's only shooting like 24% from three-point range, but you got guys like Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, Kendrick Nunn, who all shoot the ball very, very well. So Iguodala can't do that, but what Iguodala does bring to the Heat is another ball handler, and that's what the Heat really, really need. Dragic is back now with the Heat after coming back from injury, and he's come off the bench. He's playing really well, but the issue is that Kendrick Nunn is starting, and Jimmy Butler is also handling the ball a lot, and just having those two guys, like those two guys were really the main ball handlers for the Miami Heat. Now Iguodala brings another great defender and another ball handler, which I think is more important to the Heat than anything, because Nunn and Butler are having a lot of pressure bringing the ball up every single time down the floor. Iguodala is going to take that pressure, especially off Butler, and I think that's really going to help. But the small thing that people aren't really seeing is Jay Crowder. I think Jay Crowder is actually really big for this Miami Heat team. He fits right into their system as a great defender and a great three-point shooter. And he definitely fits in at the wings with his size as like about 6'6". So I think Jay Crowder is actually a really good part of this deal, and people are not realizing it. I definitely think he's going to help the Heat because a lot of contending teams would like someone like Jay Crowder. Looking at this for the Memphis side, though, I am a bit shocked with this. The Memphis Grizzlies the Heat and the Grizzlies actually added another team to this, and that was the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves traded Gorgui Dieng to the Grizzlies, and James Johnson is going to the Timberwolves. But mainly when I look at this, I was happy for Memphis for getting trading Iguodala for Justice Winslow, but I did not expect them to be taking on this much money in Dion Waiters and James Johnson, as now basically Memphis's cap is gone for the next 2 years. There is already rumors that Dion Waiters is going to get bought out, so that's definitely going to help. But James Johnson, at the moment before the Dieng trade, was like a lot of money. So I looked at it and I was like, wow, this is a lot of money for taking a risk on Justice Winslow. That Dieng trade definitely helps, but I am a little skeptical of this trade for Memphis. I initially loved it because it was just Justice Winslow in the trade, but now you're trading Solomon Hill and Jay Crowder, who are two guys on expiring deals, and you got back guys who are on multi-year deals. Dieng, I think, only has 1 year left. I'm not sure about that, but it is a lot of money to take on right now. So Memphis, I love that Justice Winslow's on Memphis now, but I'm not really sure how I feel about the rest of the money. Mainly, though, this is a win for the Miami Heat, as they get off a ton of salary They kept now they keep open the possibility for 2021 free agency, and they're looking really good, really good for this year. What's really major for them though is in the buyout market. Can they get a big man? Because they're not winning the East without a big man who could stop Giannis in the paint. So I think Miami's looking really good, but I didn't think this puts them into like beating the Bucks. But we'll see about that later. As Justice Winslow's now in Memphis and Andre Iguodala's now in Miami. So I think it's a good trade for both sides, but I think Memphis could have done a little bit better. But other than that, I like the trade. Moving on to the second trade I want to talk about. This is probably the biggest trade of today, and that's D'Angelo Russell has been traded from the Golden State Warriors to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Andrew Wiggins, a 2021 protected first-round pick, which is top 3 protected. If that does not convey, then the Golden State Warriors get the 2022 first-round pick unprotected from the Timberwolves, a second-round pick from the Timberwolves, and the Warriors are sending Jacob Evans and Amari Spellman to the Timberwolves as well. So, first off, when I saw this, I was like, wow, great. The Timberwolves finally got Cat his help. Because Andrew Wiggins, he's been having a pretty good season, actually. But we all know with Wiggins that he's too inconsistent. He doesn't work hard enough. And hopefully, the Warriors are banking on this, that Wiggins, going into the Warriors-type system, is going to become the star player that he should be. They also get a 2021 pick, which is probably going to be in the lottery. We'll see. And if that does not convey, then they get a first-round pick unprotected in 2022, which is actually really good. Trading Evans and Spellman really does hurt the Warriors, I think, because I think Spellman has actually played very, very well for them. But nonetheless, trading D'Lo for Wiggins, who hopefully becomes a good player, and getting that first-round pick, I think that's actually really good for the Warriors. The issue is that I think the Warriors could have gotten more for D'Angelo Russell if they waited to the offseason. And I was kind of shocked that they did it so quickly, that they traded D'Lo at the trade deadline instead of waiting, because he's under contract for 3 more years. I do think, though, that they're probably trying to get a look at Wiggins right now and potentially looking at what else can happen in this offseason, as Steph Curry and Klay Thompson should be coming back from injury after this season, and Steph Curry's probably coming back in March. But I think with the Warriors, they're planning already for future transactions. So I think that's the reason why they did it so quickly, but I would have liked them to wait a little bit. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, this is huge because now they finally have a point guard on the roster. And I think with Russell alongside Cat, I think it's a much better fit than Wiggins and Cat. Because Wiggins has been, the Timberwolves just have way too many wings. Adding with Wiggins there, there's just so many. With Jarrett Culver already there, you got Josh Okogie. Getting rid of Wiggins was great for Minnesota, and getting in D'Angelo Russell was huge. I do think that Spellman's also going to help them. We'll see, though. And this though changes the Minnesota Timberwolves expectations now, because they have lost 12 straight games. Now getting D'Angelo Russell, it's huge. And they got to start really pushing for a playoff spot. And hopefully they'll get there. And I think this move helps them go in that direction. But Warriors, kind of surprising. Timberwolves, I think it's a great move. I think Wiggins, though, under the Warriors system, will actually have a lot more success. We'll see, though. I hope that's the case, but I'm not 100% sure. Moving on to another trade I want to talk about, which is the Andre Drummond trade, which I am very shocked by. Andre Drummond got traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers for John Henson, Brandon Knight, and a second-round pick. The Cavs absolutely fleeced the Pistons from this. I am very shocked that the Pistons did not get a first-round pick back. They didn't get a guy like they really got nothing back. They couldn't even get a guy like Chetty Osman back. John Henson and Brandon Knight are both guys that they're washed up, they're older. They're not really going to help a Pistons team that is basically telling everybody that they're going to rebuilding mode. But they didn't trade Derrick Rose, and Blake Griffin's still under contract, and he's injured. This is really, really bad for the Pistons because there was already rumors of Drummond being traded at the beginning of the season. They didn't pull the trigger on any trades, and now this is what they get for Drummond. Not a good look for the Pistons. I feel very bad for Pistons fans right now because you basically traded Drummond for nothing. and you probably should have gotten at least a first-round pick or at least a nice player in return. No disrespect to the guys that got traded, but the Pistons got really nothing out of this, and I think they're probably going to flip John Henson and Brandon Knight soon if they're under contract this offseason, but this was terrible for the Pistons. This is like worst-case scenario. I wasn't expecting a lot for Drummond, but I was expecting more than this. So Pistons, they got screwed, unfortunately. But Cavs, I'm definitely interested to see what they do with Drummond. I don't know if he's going to re-sign there because he has an option to opt out and become a free agent. But if Drummond decides to stay there, him, Colin Sexton, Darius Garland, that's a pretty good trio right off the bat. And Drummond is relatively young. So we'll see what the Cavs do. I was kind of shocked they didn't trade Tristan Thompson after this move. But I definitely think I actually like this deal for the Cavs because, one, they gave up nothing, and two, potentially he resigns and you have two young guards already. Add in Drummond, you're starting to build your core again, and it's going to look really good. So I'm sorry, Pistons fans, but this was terrible. Cavs, though, they got Drummond for basically nothing, and it looks really good right now, at least. Final trade I really want to dive in deep with is the Marcus Morris trade to the Clippers. My biggest thing from this is that the Los Angeles Lakers did not make any trades at all. But the Clippers just got another 19-plus point per game scorer on their roster. That makes a total of 5 guys that are averaging 19-plus points per game for the Clippers. And this is huge in my opinion. Jerome Robinson got sent to the Wizards, that's really sad for the Clippers because I think Robinson has a lot of potential, but he's just stuck on the bench on a good team. And Isaiah Thomas is going to the Clippers, but he's going to be waived immediately. That's unfortunate for Isaiah Thomas, but I think definitely the Clippers are looking for a different guard, either Darren Collison or on the buyout market. Mo Harkless is being traded to the Knicks, and I tweeted out last night that I hope the Clippers would not trade Mo Harkless because he even showed against the Heat last night that he is so valuable to this Clippers team. And I think he was perfect fit for this Clippers team. But to get Marcus Morris, obviously you had to give up Mo Harkless. I'm sad to see the Clippers part with him because he fit in so well, but it's definitely worth it, I guess. Marcus Morris is going to come in, and I think he fits perfectly well with this Clippers team. I did not think Marcus Morris actually fit well with the Lakers because, one, the Lakers would have to give up a guy like Danny Green and probably another good guy that's on their roster. They had to give up Kyle Kuzma. The Knicks were not budging. So let's just say that Danny Green and Kyle Kuzma were traded for Marcus Morris. I think the Lakers actually get worse in that trade because the Lakers, they have 2 ball-dominant guys already, and that's with LeBron and AD. Those 2 guys, no matter what, they need the ball. So Marcus Morris is a guy that also needs the ball. He's not really a catch-and-shoot guy, but he needs the ball to be effective as he plays out of the post in isolation a lot. Him next to LeBron and AD just doesn't make sense in my head because he's not the greatest catch-and-shoot guy. Danny Green, on the other hand, is a great defender and is a great catch-and-shoot three-point shooter. Also, Kyle Kuzma is similar in that realm, but he is kind of struggling. However, you weren't just going to trade Kuzma for more straight up. You had to give up more. So I think this is actually better for the Lakers. However, the Lakers did not make a move. So the Clippers, not only I think they've won free agency over the Lakers. They've won the first 2 matchups against the Lakers. Now they've won the deadline. The Clippers are no joke right now, and they have more assets that they were able to throw at teams to get the players that they wanted, and this is exactly what they did. And they just got another 19-plus point per game scorer to come to their team. Morris is, he's not the greatest defender, but he's a good defender. And I think he's going to fit in perfectly well alongside Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams. So if Morris plays in that second unit, I think it fits in perfectly. And I think he also fits in perfectly alongside Kawhi and PG because both Kawhi and PG, they don't need the ball to be very effective because they can both catch and shoot the 3 ball very effectively. And PG is just great coming off down screens off ball. So it creates havoc already in the defense. That's why I think this Clippers team is going to win the championship because they have now so many scorers. They got a lot of great defenders. They got 3-point shooting. And now the only thing I think they're missing is another ball handler and a big man. But we've already seen, though, that Montrezl Harrell, even at 6'7", can handle the paint. So this just made the Clippers so much harder to beat, and they were already hard to beat to begin with. For the Wizards, I like that they got Jerome Robinson. I think that's really big for them. I think Jerome Robinson's going to really fit in well with Bradley Beal in Washington. And with the Knicks, they got a first-round pick out of Marcus Morris, who was going to be a free agent. They could, if Marcus Morris wants to go back to the Knicks, he can with their cap space. So this is a perfect move for the Knicks. They got a first-round pick out of Morris, and they could potentially re-sign him if they really want him back. That is perfect for the Knicks, and I think and also Mo Harkless is just a really solid player. So that's this trade. I think the Clippers overall, they win this. Obviously, it looks a lot better if they win the championship because of this. The Knicks, I think they did a really good job with this, actually, for once. And I think the Wizards did a pretty solid job in this in getting Jerome Robinson. So those are the 4 major trades I want to talk about for today. The other types of stuff I want to kind of talk about is that OKC did not make a move. I was kind of shocked by this because I thought for sure they would move Gallinari at least, but keep everybody else that was in trade talks. Gallinari is about to be a free agent, so he is not going to be moved. I thought OKC would want something in return, but they didn't go and trade him, so that's okay. I do want to talk about, let's see here. Scalabissiere is going to Atlanta, which is kind of, that's interesting. The Houston Rockets traded Jordan Bell, which was one of their only big men. I've already made a video on this, that I think the Houston Rockets are making a really bad mistake by trading all their big men for wing players, and they just got another wing player for Jordan Bell. So I don't think that's a good move at all. And the last thing I want to actually talk about is the Philadelphia 76ers getting Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson III. Philly needed shooting, and they got shooting. The issue is just that they're not the greatest shooters ever, and they're going to be coming off the bench because there's no spot for them in the starting lineup, and that starting lineup is already just doesn't have enough three-point shooting to begin with. So Philly, it's so weird with Philly because I think Philly has the talent to beat the Milwaukee Bucks, but clearly they don't have the mentality to beat them. So Brett Brown needs to figure things out quickly. They have locker room problems right now. I think Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson are actually really solid pieces for them to pick up, but I don't think they put them over the top unless they change their mindset. So that's like the last trade I want to really talk about. However, I don't know with Philly. I really hope they start succeeding, but it's not looking good for them at this point as they just continue to slide in the standings. But those are my thoughts on the NBA trade deadline. It was a very interesting trade deadline, but as I expected, there weren't going to be as many moves as last season because this free agency class coming up is not the greatest, and last offseason, a lot of money was spent, so a lot of teams didn't have the flexibility to make those types of trades that we saw last season. So definitely a very fun trade deadline. I'm glad to see a major blockbuster trade in D'Angelo Russell going to Minnesota, pair up with Cat. And definitely happy to see Marcus Morris go to the Clippers. But overall, it was not as crazy as last year, and that's okay. But I am definitely looking forward to the rest of the NBA season, looking at how these trades affect each team, because there are a lot of these teams that made trades today. They're trying to win, or they're preparing for the future, and it looks really, really good for a lot of these teams. I am shocked, though, that the Lakers did not make a move, and I think that's actually really going to come back to haunt them because the Clippers just got better, and the Clippers are already hard to deal with in the first place. So I want to hear your thoughts about the trade deadline. Make sure you comment down below what you think about the trade deadline. Tell me who you think had the best deal today. Which team had the best overall trade deadline? Because, in my opinion, I think it's the Clippers, but you could argue the Timberwolves. You could even probably argue the Cavs, for God's sake. So, definitely remember to like this video, subscribe to my channel for NBA content, follow me on Twitter at Duncan_White14, and definitely comment down below your thoughts on the NBA trade deadline.